Welcome, Natalie Coombe, pricing expert, to the Hooked on Marketing Collective. So over the next few months, I'm going to bring some experts into this group to share with you knowledge in business areas that I myself am not an expert in. So pricing is something that is so vital for us all to ensure that we can pay ourselves from our businesses and to make sure that we're positioning ourselves correctly and all of that fun stuff. And Natalie is the absolute queen when it comes to pricing. So she has worked with some really big marketing agencies in the UK and Europe, such as Mindshare and M&C Saatchi Leader. And now she has moved back home to New Zealand to share this amazing information that she has in her head around pricing with more smaller businesses and mostly female entrepreneurs who are working in client-serving businesses. So I have worked with Natalie myself in my own business to sort out my pricing, and she is just like so knowledgeable in this area. So I welcome you to this conversation today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just awesome to be able to be here and chat with all you amazing people in the Hooked On Collective. So thank you for inviting me. Excited to be the first one too. That was,
I know, yeah.
Yay. Try and set the bar.
Yeah, totally. You will. So tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an expert in this space.
Yeah, wow. So this has really been probably a 40-year journey, I think. Everything I've kind of done up until this point has really led to what I'm doing right now. So I've been doing business transformation, which is just a fancy way of saying business troubleshooting, for over 20 years. And that's working with everyone from solopreneurs to small family businesses through to kind of large major international companies in London, like Mindshare and M&C Saatchi. And what I really found was no matter what the problem that they were having, whether they were wanting to grow or whether they were having staff retention issues or their clients weren't happy or they just weren't making enough money, it pretty much all came down to their pricing, or for a large business, we call it a commercial model. Because if you don't have enough money coming in, you can't pay for the resources you need to grow a business that's really healthy. And so for me, healthy businesses is really important. I grew up in a family business here in New Zealand.
Okay.
So my Sunday night dinners were about staff retention and profit margins and client issues around the chicken and the spuds. And so I saw firsthand how the health of a business directly relates to the health and well-being of the family and the people involved in that business. So creating healthy businesses has been something that I have done, I've carried through to every business that I've worked with. And then, a few years ago now in London, I've been there for about 10 years, I decided to become a single mum by choice, as you do, and decided to, I've been waiting around long enough, didn't happen, I'll have my own, thanks. And then decided to move back to New Zealand and raise my daughter with my family. And so kind of after about a year out of the bubble, and then starting to look at, so where do I go next? Do I go back into contracting with corporates? I was pretty over it by that point. And then kind of the thought of actually, how do I share this knowledge with other small business owners that can't afford to pay me to come and fix it themselves? But actually I can teach them how to do it. I can teach them what I've spent 20 years developing and doing myself, and I can teach them the skills to apply it to their own businesses so that they can create their own business that's profitable, but in a really healthy and sustainable way for them and their families. And as I said, particularly for women entrepreneurs, because we have a really limited amount of time to do our business. Like it can't be your number one priority. Like your kids are your number one priority, your family, looking after everyone. So your pricing becomes even more important so that you're earning what you need to, only working the hours that you actually have to work on your business. So and then meeting awesome women like yourself and looking at how I can kind of best help you achieve and grow a successful business has been really foundational to kind of growing kind of where I am today. So yeah, that's a quick version.
Yeah. So how did you decide to focus on like solopreneurs and smaller business owners rather than coming back to New Zealand and positioning yourself as a consultant? Because I'm sure these bigger agencies in New Zealand and Australia would grab your expertise.
Yeah.
You know, so what made you want to work with that market?
Great lifestyle? Yeah, great question. So for me, it was the realization that if I go into repeating what I did before, which is I would go into a business and I would troubleshoot it. So I would go, right, what's working well? What are your problems? What are you missing? What are you trying to achieve? And I'd create a roadmap to get them there. And then I would often, if it needed a commercial model or process definition or staffing models, whatever, I would then create that for them. That means you have to be in the building. Like you have to hear the stuff that's going on that no one wants to tell you about officially. Like you need to know all of that stuff, which meant for me, having with Auckland traffic, having my daughter in daycare like 10 hours a day. And I just went, you know what? I did not give up my career in life in London to have a daughter, to never see her. And so that really made me have to look at a different way of supporting my family and using the skills and knowledge that I had. And that's where kind of leveraging and teaching other people these skills and giving them the tools that I've created myself, giving them the tools and teach them how to use them, meant I could help I could have 100 different women entrepreneurs create better businesses and better lives for their families, or I could help 2 large WPP companies make more money for their shareholders. It's like no competition. I ain't interested in making money for big companies who already have more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel you, definitely. I think a lot of people in this group would relate to that as well, because let's face it, a lot of us do have these online businesses because we want that mix of lifestyle and willing to spend time with our families and all that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really important.
Cool. So today we're here predominantly to talk about 3 ways that you can charge what you're worth. So who is your market? So your experiences come from marketing agencies, but you actually work with a broad range of like service providers, don't you? So who are these people that you work with?
Yeah. So I work with, as we said, client serving businesses, and these can be whether they're social media marketers or business coaches, life coaches, photographers, you name it. From a client serving perspective, the mechanic is the same. In terms of what you need to put in place to have a profitable, healthy, sustainable business. And these are women who are incredibly talented. They're doing amazing things. They get amazing results for their clients. And often they're working their asses off and they're just not actually getting anything to show for it in the bank at the end of the month, or certainly not what they either thought they would be earning or need to be earning during the sacrifices that they're making. And so working together, we get their pricing sorted, we work out their packages, and we create plans for what they need to do in order to get them from where they are to get them to paying themselves what they're worth without having to burn out in the process.
So the first one really is that the mindset needs to shift about the salary not being a reward like an extra, but actually the salary being a fixed business cost. So talk us through that.
Totally. So that's something I found when I've been talking to a lot of women entrepreneurs, that there's this view that your salary is a reward, right? And this is really a traditional view of salary in startup businesses, is your salary is a reward. You have to work your ass off. And at some point in time in the future, when you've worked years, you've sacrificed everything, eventually your business might be successful enough to justify paying yourself something. Unfortunately, most business owners don't get that length of time to do it because they burn out or they give up, or life happens and they have to put it on the wayside. But the fact of the matter is that your salary isn't a reward for doing a good job. It's just a fixed business cost that you actually have to plan for. And for a lot of my clients that I talk to, or women that I just meet and we talk about this, for a lot of them are like, it's just not a common thought that your salary is a fixed business cost that you just need to factor in. But when you think about it, often your salary expectations for what you want, they can be 2 to 3 times as much as your running costs for your business. So if you're just making enough money to cover your running costs and maybe a little bit extra, and then hope that one day you'll have enough clients in order to pay yourself what you want, like, you're missing the biggest chunk, which is your salary. It's just missing out of your plan. So there's no wonder that you're maxed out and you're not making the kind of money that you thought you would. You have to factor your salary in. So a lot of the processes we go through are really factored around, right, what do you want to earn? And you have to own that. And for a lot of women, I'll ask them the question, so what's your salary expectations? I don't know. Right? We are so used to putting ourselves last, putting everyone else first, and just, we will get the dregs of whatever is left over. We're not even in the mindset of, what am I worth? What do I deserve to have? What do I need to have to make this business make sense? Because once you put it out there, then there's the fear of failure. If you don't make it happen. Sure. So let's just not say anything. But you have to know what the destination is.
Yeah.
And part of that is going, so what is it? You know, what is the salary that you need to be earning to make this business make sense? And it doesn't have to be the hashtag social media highlight reel version. It can just be keeping the lights on version.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if there's kind of one thing, for those of you watching, like, if there's one thing you take away from today that can just fundamentally change how you view your pricing and how you view your profitability, your salary is not a freaking reward for doing a good job. It's just a fixed business cost that you have to plan for.
Yeah. I know that with me, when I first started my business, so I started my business officially in like 2013, and I was doing my postgrad study at the time, and it was like purely a side hustle. I was like, I'm just going to see how this goes, if people were going to go for it or not. And I did not even consider at all what I would pay myself.
Yeah.
Like, I just had no idea. And it wasn't until actually I went full-time on my business and made that 6 figures in 1 year, and then suddenly realized, okay, it's not actually enough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
To justify being in business and spending all of my time doing this massive thing that's like all time consuming and everything, like, is it really worth it? What do I have to get to for it to be worth it? And what is going to justify paying myself enough that it would be higher than if I went out to the marketplace and got a job? So there's some pretty big considerations there once you realize that.
Yeah, there actually are. And I think the really important thing to, you know, as you explained, it's a journey. And so, you know, when you start in a business, you know, there is that first point, which is just validate that it's a business. Just validate that A, you enjoy doing it, B, you're really good at it, C, people will pay for it. Like, that's,
yeah, totally. I think that's where a lot of people start. Yeah. Yeah,
that's right. Just do that for, I don't know, 3, 6, 9 months, whatever, and just go, yes, this works. That's normally what I recommend is to start with, just go and get experience, get confidence, build case studies, expertise. And then when you're like, yes, okay, this is what I'm going to do, then we need to come back and go, okay, cool. What is it? Let's figure out the destination for what you need to be charging and how you need to be working with people, so that then you can go on that journey. You're not going to get there overnight. Like, I've got a spreadsheet that can tell you how many clients you need at what price point, but just because it's a spreadsheet doesn't mean that suddenly all the clients are going to turn up at your door, you know, hence marketing. But at least then you know what type of clients, and you know where you need to position yourself, and you know how many you need to have. And then every step you go on, every action you take, builds you to that destination where it all makes sense. Otherwise, you're going to do all the same amount of hard work, but you're not going to end up with anything to show for it.
Yeah. And that's one thing that really struck me when I did work with you. I actually did Natalie's first launch of her program. So what really struck me was how tightly aligned, like, what pricing can teach you about your marketing, because it really makes you focus. Like, this is my ideal client. how many of these do I need to reach that goal?
Yeah.
And why am I spending all of this time doing this other stuff that actually is so far away from that and is not going to help me achieve that?
Totally. And it's really interesting because the other thing we want to talk about is that what a lot of people don't know when it comes to pricing is that there are four pricing methods, four key pricing methods for service-based businesses. And I will say guessing is not one of them. It is the most common one that people, so how do you figure out, well, I guess I take a number that sounds good. Guessing is not one of them, but there's four of them. So there's market-based pricing, goal-based pricing, cost-based pricing, and value-based pricing. And each one is more powerful than the last. But most people start and stop on market-based pricing, right? Which is, what's the market rate? What are my competitors doing? Am I more or less experienced than them? Do I charge more or less? Without ever doing any of the math. Like that is it. And as far as people are aware, that's the only way. The problem with market-based pricing is that you have no idea if your competitors are making any money. And probably chances are, if you're struggling to make money charging that amount, they're struggling to make money charging that amount, and they wish they could charge more, but no one else is, so they can't, right? It's a vicious circle. So market-based pricing as a pricing method is really unreliable. Even if your competitors are somehow managing to pay themselves, their business is a black box. Like there's like 5 different areas of business that will influence how profitable you are. You have no idea what they've set up in the background to make that work for you. You might not be prepared to do the same thing or able to do the same thing to make it work. So market-based pricing is really unreliable as a pricing method. What it is good for, and this ties back to your point around how connected pricing is with marketing, market-based pricing is really good for context. So once you've worked out what you personally need to charge in order to make your business make sense, working the way you want to work, right? Then you say, okay, cool, now that I know that number, where does that position me in the marketplace? Am I cheap and cheerful? In which case it's volume equation. Am I middle of the road pricing wise? In which case, how do I stand out in a crowded marketplace? Or am I premium, which is going to influence how you need to position yourself, what type of clients you go after, how you market to them. So market-based pricing method, unreliable, but for context, really powerful because it helps you understand where you need to be in the market to be able to run the business the way you want to run. Yeah, so that's, and that really does connect. And so a lot of the work we do, so I mainly focus on cost-based and value-based pricing methods. So cost-based pricing is basically where you work out exactly what you need to charge, whether per hour or per job or per client, in order to pay all your bills, pay yourself a salary, working the way you want to work. And that really becomes the minimum, right? That's the minimum you need to charge for this business to make sense. As long as you're earning X, whatever the X might be, fine, you're good, you're golden.
And that has included in it the salary cost, right?
Exactly. Embedded, and I've got a calculator for it, and you plug in all your numbers and happy freaking days. But yeah, embedded in that is what you want to earn, and how you want to work, and all of that really good stuff in there so that you can create a healthy and sustainable business, right? But that becomes the minimum. And then the second one, and that's really powerful when you partner it with value-based pricing. So value-based pricing, like it's the fourth one, and that's the most powerful pricing method, and that's the one that more and more businesses today are moving towards. And value-based pricing is where it's no longer about how many hours it takes you to deliver it. It's about the change that you help your clients to achieve and how valuable that is to them, irrelevant of how much it costs you to deliver it. And so value-based pricing really becomes the maximum you can charge before your client's no longer getting value for money. And so once you know those two numbers, you can charge whatever you like between those, because I'm earning what I need to, but I'm still providing real value and a fair price for my clients, which is really important. And a lot of clients go on a journey from charging the minimum, slowly increasing their pricing as their confidence grows and as their expertise grows, to charging the maximum. And in fact, a lot of my clients go from not even charging the minimum to just charging the minimum they need in order to pay themselves a basic salary without having to burn out. And that's a massive milestone. Just being able to generate a business, doing what you love with the skills that you have, that generates enough profit to pay yourself a salary is massive.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's a total major milestone. And we have all these visions of hashtag social media highlight reel, the 6-figure business, and all of this great malarkey, and as if that's the only version of success. And just being able to pay your bills, personal bills, doing what you love, that's huge.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, like going back to that market-based pricing. Yeah. Like, it's the social media highlight reel. Like, people are like, oh my God, I made this much money. And everyone's like, oh my God, they're so successful. What are they doing?
Yeah.
But how much actual profit or are they actually even paying themselves, or is that profit just purely going to them as their salary? Maybe they're spending 100K and they're making 140, so they're getting a 40K salary, which is like a graduate position.
Yeah.
You know? And how many hours a week are you working for that?
For that amount, that's right. And if you and that's fine if you've got a business plan and the investments you've made kind of informed decisions, and they're going to help you very quickly scale to where you're earning 60, 80, 100, then fine, that's an informed decision. But a lot of the time, we get so hung up on revenue targets that we forget salary targets. And revenue targets are important. They're really important metric KPI to be monitoring. But when you're setting them, you want to set your revenue target to actually pay you the salary.
Yeah, I've heard of like online entrepreneurs like in the coaching space who have, you know, like hit the $1 million mark in a year, but actually behind the scenes they've spent $950,000 to get there.
Right.
So
that's scary.
Yeah,
because that's a huge risk. That's a large outlay. Because there'll be ongoing costs as well. There'll be ongoing costs that they've incurred, so they have to continue to generate $1 million plus in revenue. Otherwise, they're in the red. They're taking out loans and all the rest of it. So there's a question someone asked in a Facebook group the other day. It's like, so 6-figure business, is that turnover revenue or is that profit and salary? And 6-figure businesses is turnover. As you've said, you can be doing 100K, but you could be spending 80K in order to make it, 20 grand. Or you could be generating, 80K and spending 20 grand to get 80K, and you're suddenly making 60,000. Yeah. You're making 3 times as much, but you haven't hit the 6-figure milestone. So for me, a real focus when we're working out pricing and business models is really about paying yourself. It's not around kind of the vanity metrics of revenue targets and so on. It's about actually what do you need to do to pay yourself salary.
I think you can kind of run a business for a while on that mindset of I'm just going to put everything into it. It doesn't really matter how much I pay myself. Like, that is okay. I get why you do that at the start, especially because you've got to get it up and running and it takes some blood, sweat and tears, but then you will totally burn out in the long term, because that's what happened to me before I started working with you. Like, you cannot physically keep doing that forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for sharing where you're at. And I think that's such a reality for so many women in business is we just get to that point where we burn out, and we are working every spare hour of the day and sacrificing time with our families. We're sacrificing our mental health and physical well-being in order to achieve this thing and make this business successful, without doing the math to kind of go, well, but hang on a minute, what's important to me to actually achieve it? And that's kind of where we go back to this idea of salary being a reward, right?
Yeah.
Just keep slaving away, keep working really hard, and eventually you might
It'll come one day, yeah.
If you don't plan for it, like, it might happen, or you might burn out, well before you ever reach that point, because you can't just keep working harder. We only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah. That's one thing that really struck me when I did start working with you and I saw all your amazing calculators and spreadsheets and stuff. I was like, it kind of took me back to corporate days where you had a CFO.
Yeah.
We knew everything, like all the targets, and basically we need to all be doing that kind of stuff in our own businesses. But the problem is that most of us don't know how to, because we're not CFOs, you know? We don't have that skill set.
Yeah, and I mean, literally the calculators that I've got are literally basically only in the past CFOs would see it, or CEOs, commercial directors. I've done pared down versions, so they're not nearly as scary as the ones I used to have to use. But you're absolutely right. We get into business because we like coughing. No, we don't. Hang on a sec. Sorry. We get into business because we love what we do, not necessarily because we love running businesses. And there are specific skill sets that you need to learn in order to create healthy, profitable businesses, and figuring out how to price it is one of them. But it's a skill that you have to learn. And some people learn it trial and error over years. And then some are just not given that length of time in order to figure it out. And, I know for me, I'm a solo parent, so I don't have time to learn things by key business things. I don't have time to learn by trial and error. It's from, you have to invest to get the skills to do it. And I think you said pricing is one of them. Not very many people out there teach pricing. There are some, like I've got some of my clients who have worked with business coaches before, who have told them what to price, where they said, give us your information and we'll, in a magic black box over here, we'll tell you what the price is.
Yeah.
And then they've gone, I don't know what to do with this information, because they don't know why they have to charge
It's just
that.
a figure.
It's just a random number that's like, 3 times as much as they were charging before. And because they don't understand the mechanics behind it, they don't understand why they need to, they didn't form that decision. They don't own that number. It's really hard to back it and put yourself out there with that number. Whereas when you learn the mechanics, whenever your business changes, you can make informed decisions. And it's knowing your numbers is just a part of owning and running a business.
Yeah. Another thing that struck me as well that I really learned from working with you was to kind of turn your services into a product through like a package or something like that. Because I had a tendency, I think a lot of us are really good at people pleasing and doing everything that's asked of us, rather than saying, this is the service, this is what you get, boom, 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 and this is the price. If you want something out of that scope, then it's extra and this is the price. But I'd just be like, okay, I'll just do it all and won't say anything. And that is what causes burnout,
Yeah. So definitely I've found, for whether it's a small businesses or large businesses, a lot of the times clients, and we do it ourselves, like we like to think we're unique, and that we have unique challenges, and we're really special, and we need a special, unique solution. But you guys will have known, when you've been delivering and servicing clients for a while, actually there's only kind of a handful of situations that most of your clients will find themselves in, and you're the experts. So it's really, really powerful if you create packages, predefined packages that really solve the core problem your key clients are facing, without a whole lot of extra bells and whistles that they don't necessarily need, that actually adds more cost, so it makes it harder for them to purchase. When you focus on, look, if there was one thing I could do for my client that would make a massive difference, what is it? And then build your services around that. And all the stuff. Someone didn't get the memo.
Oh my God.
You build your core services around kind of that key deliverable that makes a big difference to your. I'm just going to talk over it.
Yeah, do. It never rings.
No one needs to know what message that was.
They've hung up anyway.
Okay, good. I want to speak to you anyway. When you create your core services around that activity deliverable that makes the biggest impact to your clients, and you add all the extra stuff as optional extras. They can have it, that's absolutely fine. But it makes it easier for them, more of your clients to purchase, because you're kind of lowering the barrier to entry, but you are delivering it profitably and you're providing a valuable service. It's a really powerful way of helping you to scale in a profitable way.
Yeah, like you don't have to be delivering like something like super technical in order to make money. Like that's what it taught me. I actually stripped back my services after working with you, because I realized I was doing too much and I had a few clients on each thing.
Yeah.
Not enough for it to be profitable, but the costs for me to actually be able to do that work with the software that I need and all of that kind of thing was pretty high.
Yeah.
And then when I did the budget and stuff with you, then I realized like, oh my God, for a small business, I'm spending a lot on running this thing. So
yeah, no, you did super well. Yeah, and look, it's one of those things. You can't. We like to think we can be good at everything, and as you say, we're so many of us. We get into business because we want to help other people, and we want to say yes, and we want to be able to. If they need help something, we want to be able to say yes to do it. But you end up getting stretched so thinly. You're doing nothing as well as you know you can, and that your clients need you to. And every time you shift your mind from doing one type of work to then having to deliver a different type of work to then having to do a different type of work, it's really hard for your brain to make those shifts. You kind of lose something in the process of going, oh, now I'm thinking about a completely different type of service. And then I've got a different client and they need something completely different. I need to remind myself what they need. And so it's really draining. It's really exhausting. It's really inefficient. And so you end up, you can't charge all that much for it, but you spend a whole lot of extra time chopping and changing. Whereas when you refine your services to start with, doesn't mean you end up down here, but you start with just going, what are my core services? I'm going to nail the crap out of delivering this core service. Okay. I'm going to be the best at it. I'm going to refine all my processes. I'm going to be totally efficient. I'm going to build amazing case studies and credibility. I'm going to own it. I mean, you can charge what the heck you like at that point. You're really created a profitable business. Then you can go, right, what's next? What's the next kind of evolution? What's the next complementary service that I want to add on? And I'm going to take all the learnings that I had refining my core service. I'm going to add other learnings and I'm going to apply them to developing this new area. And often what you find is when you're focusing on your core service, that your clients will inform what the next value add service is. It will become obvious. You're like, right now I know what it is in my business and I'm sitting here itching to do it, but I'm just having to keep focusing on just refining the core service and then start to expand. And it really helps you, you become more efficient. It's easier in your mindset because you're not having to chop and change. You get much faster, you grow your credibility because you've got more volume of people using that one particular service. So it's a really powerful method to just streamline down and focus. As I said, doesn't mean you can't later expand back out, but it just helps make life a lot easier, a lot less anxiety and overwhelm, a lot less overwhelm when you streamline stuff. And it helps you become more profitable too, because you so much more you can reuse doing the similar service than if you're doing a whole lot of different services. Each one have their own cost base associated with it, becomes more profitable.
And if you're freelancing, you're only one person, so why are we all trying to be like superhuman and do everything?
Just do one thing incredibly well.
So we're going to talk about pricing perception as well.
Yes.
So that's the third one.
That's the third one. So kind of the things that we've covered. I like doing the 1, 2, 3. So one of the main things, the first things when it comes to making sure your pricing is right is the mindset that your salary is not a reward for doing a good job. It is a fixed business cost you need to plan for, because if you do not plan for it, it will not happen. The second thing is knowing that there are 4 key pricing methods for service-based businesses, and it's really important, and guessing is not one of them. It's really important that you know what they are and that you know which one is right for you. And it's all about understanding what the destination is that you need to get to from a pricing perspective in order to have a business that's healthy, successful, and is paying you what you're worth without having to burn out. So you can actually take the steps to get you there. And that can include how you market yourself, like how you position yourself in the marketplace to make your business viable. So those are kind of the first two: salary isn't a reward, and the 4 key pricing methods. And then the third one, which is really relevant, is the importance of price perception. So I always look at this example, like if you're wanting to buy, I don't know, a toaster, maybe not even a toaster, I'd probably pay good money for a toaster, but you're buying something, that's not particularly important. You go to Kmart or IKEA, depending, but you go somewhere, you buy a cheap thing. If it only lasts a year, it doesn't matter because you didn't pay that much for it anyway, and it's fine. Price becomes the most important factor. When you are buying something that is important to you, so this is particularly relevant for service-based businesses, whether it's personal development, it's career development, whether it is growing and scaling your business, whatever it is, if it's really important to you, then you want a quality product. You want to go with an expert. And at that point, your price point is reflective of your quality. It's perceived to be an indication of your quality. So if you're stuck in the cheap zone, aside from the fact that you're going to be struggling to pay yourself what you're worth without burning out, you're also doing yourself a disservice, because your ideal clients are going to be looking at that and going, well, she can't be that good because she's that cheap. So I'm going to keep looking for someone who actually is better quality, because their price point is more reflective of that. And I mean, I was talking to you, Louise, I had a reminder of this very early on in my new business. I had the opportunity to work with a business owner over in Australia, and I hadn't done my market research. So always do your market research, and realize the price differences between a New Zealand market and an Australian market. And I was out the gate and I was doing my pricing. I wanted to get experience. So pricing was less important. It was about getting experience. And I put across this proposal, and the woman who took it, she came back to me, and I really value her feedback. She's like, I really liked you. I loved what you were doing, and I think you really know your stuff. It's just that you were so much cheaper than the other people I was seeing. I just go, how you can't be good enough. And I was like, okay, thanks. Good feedback. Thanks for reminding me. And it really, that was a really strong reminder to me that price perception, when you're delivering a quality service, is a really, really important part. You do yourself a massive disservice at times when you undersell yourself, because people perceive it as being, you're just not good. And that isn't necessarily the case. So yeah, it's an important thing to consider. A lot of us, we freak out, we worry that if we put our prices up, no one will buy us, all of that mindset stuff that happens, but actually you can be losing the type of clients you really want and who you'll get really good results with, because you're not positioned. This goes back to market-based pricing. You're not positioned as the expert in your area, and people indicate that by pricing.
Yeah, and that ties in so much with your marketing as well, because if you are one of the highest priced people in the market, then your marketing needs to tell people why.
Correct.
Even if it's visually.
Correct.
Yeah, like
yeah.
You can't have like a budget website and then charge like top dollar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it has to be expensive, but it's got to have the right, you've kind of got to be that impression the whole way through, like the customer journey, like it's high quality. So that's what's going to get people across the line, versus if you had a really low quality experience through the sales funnel and then you got like high prices, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, there's a disconnect between the user experience, your perceived value, and then the price that they're going to pay. Absolutely. Having a cohesive journey and a cohesive presence that's in line with where you need to be positioned is really important. Similarly, not every business has to be premium end. Like there's this idea that the ultimate goal is to position yourself premium, but actually, if you don't need to, then that's fine. You gotta figure that out first, and that's kind of the cost-based pricing model. But once you figured that out, then you can go, right, actually, I don't have to be competing against the big budget guys. I just need to own my own space, but at least I know what that is, and I know who my ideal client is. I know how to talk to them, and I know how to connect with them so they understand I get them. And that is absolutely the synergy between working out what you need to be charging and therefore who you need to be working with, and then how you need to market to them to communicate it. Really, really important dynamic.
That was actually yet another big takeaway of working with you, was that, there's all this talk about how you got to charge what you're worth, charge like right up here kind of thing. And for some people, that's no problem at all. But for many people, it's an issue. Like, look, you can try and be the top of the market, and that's totally cool. But it's also okay, if you've done your numbers, to not be the top of the market and still make a really good profit and pay yourself really well, potentially even more than if you're charging those high prices, because sometimes you can get stuck in the cycle of making heaps of money and spending heaps of money, reinvesting it into your business instead of actually saying, should I be like paying off my mortgage, or, like stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. It's about what works for you. And I think as business owners, as people who have taken the courage to go out and do the difficult thing, which is running your own business, we have the right to say, actually, screw what the standard definition of success is. What is success to me and my family? What does that look like? And then put the steps in place to make that happen, whatever that might be. And you've got to just let go of the often quite superficial version of what success looks like, to own what yours is, and then take the steps to make that happen. And that doesn't mean that that can't change. What your version of success is. Like what my version of success is right now with a nearly 3-year-old is going to be very different to what my version of success is when she's in school and I've got kind of in theory more time and all the rest of it. It's really healthy to adjust your definitions and your goals and what you want to achieve, your expectations for what you want to achieve based on where you are in your life right now. So feel about that. True. You can create an action plan. You can create steps that actually make that happen, and you take away a lot of the stress, a lot of the anxiety, and a lot of the overwhelm that we live under trying to create these versions that we don't actually need, but cause us to make way more sacrifices than actually we necessarily needed to.
Yeah, and going back to how at the start I said, if you're paying yourself a 40k salary, that's a graduate position. But then what if you were making that much, but you're also only working 15 to 20 hours a week?
Yeah.
Like that changes the game again.
Totally changes the game. And this is where it's really important to own what you want. Don't let somebody else tell you indirectly or directly what your version of success looks like. You've got to own and go, do you know what? Screw it. I don't need the fancy car, or I don't need the whatever. I just want to be able to be home when my kid comes home from school. I want to be able to not be stressed. I don't have to work in the evenings. I don't have to work my weekends. I want to work 20 hours a week. And for that, I'm happy to be earning 40K, 60, 30, 20, whatever it might be, because that is a lifestyle that we're comfortable with for right now. And that is the plan you make. And then in a year's time, 2 years time, whatever it might be, you can review, because life changes. And it's always really important to be reassessing where you are, what goals you want to do, what goals you want to make, what are your steps to get there. And I mean, that's something that I work with, my clients ongoing. We kind of do, in theory, every 6 months, do a review of where you are, what your goals are, so that you're always working towards what's real for you and important to you right now, as opposed to, when life was different a year ago, or based on what other people think your success should look like.
Or what they're saying their success is on social media, but you can't see behind.
Oh my gosh, such a freaking black box. It's kind of like this, right? Everything, you know, this video, we've got these beautiful backgrounds, da 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 da. Like, you guys should see that what is in front that you can't see right now that I'm hiding. I've got crap everywhere. I've got all these different bits and pieces because it's a black box. People only show you what they want you to see. And, you know, pretty much every business owner is struggling. They'll just be struggling with different things. But whenever we achieve a goal, like before we've even achieved that goal, we've set new goals that we're now trying to achieve.
Yes.
Right? And so there's always something, and we're always push and pull between family, ourselves, our business. So, you know, people, we just, you know, social media, you show what you want to show. And so just knowing that everyone is struggling, everyone is going through their own thing. And just because they don't show it does not mean that what you're going through right now is somehow you haven't got it together.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's totally a journey. And you can make decisions to change anything at any time as well.
You absolutely can. Yeah, and that's so important to remember, that you've got the power to choose where you want to go, and that at any point in time you can go, actually, does this work for me? Yes or no? If it does, great, keep doing it. If it doesn't, fine, change it. Easy.
Damn straight.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So where can people find out more or get in touch with you?
Yeah, so check out my website, which is nataliecoombe.com. There's a whole lot of free resources on there. There's also a free download that you can get, which is my 5 steps to double your salary. So this is a tool that you can use, and it just talks through 5 basic simple steps that you can take in your business that will help you earn more for every job that you do. And even making one change can make a big difference. You know, if you make multiple changes, you know, you can literally double what you earn by making some of these changes. So I might post a link to it, but it's over on my website, nataliecoombe.com.
Send me the link and I'll put it in the comments.
Cool. So yeah, that's it. And obviously I'm here on Facebook as well. So you can check out my page.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Natalie, for joining us. It's been really cool talking about pricing.
Oh yeah. You know, I could hours.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in if you made it live, but if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments, and also if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll add Natalie's download into there as well. So yeah, and in a couple of weeks time we have a salon coach, Larissa McClellan, coming in to talk about how she's grown her business through regular content marketing. So stay tuned for that one as well. Thanks again, Natalie. It's been awesome having you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, and yeah, thank you everyone for listening. And if you've got any questions or anything you want to know, just put comments. I will get you some answers.
Awesome. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.